Until I saw Matt Walsh, I had never known a homophobe could be gayer than the pedo priests in the Catholic Church. Matt Walsh is the best transphobe, authoritarian, and personification of anxiety and depression I have ever seen. I did research on Matt, and what I found out was he claimed anime will lead to demonic possession. The only thing better than that is the fact that his dad already did that when Billy Mays impregnated a goat prostitute. He hates transgender people so much he makes sure his pole warmer only warms real men's poles. Another thing I read is he's against abortion even in cases of rape and incest. Yeah, because he wants to increase his fanbase. I met some people who know Matt Walsh, and his parents said they tried to use a coat hanger, but it didn't come with instructions. Some things about Matt Walsh I didn't even need to research because it's already so obvious that he's what you'd get if YouTube comments were a person. I mean, look at him. What do you call a baby found screaming in the dumpster? The Matt Walsh Show. I'm making the claim that pro-life is pro-slavery. My claim is grounded in the fact that slave women were forced to give birth. The reason it supports my claim is that pro-lifers want to force women to give birth. If you look at it logically, forcing women to give birth is slavery, pro-life forces women to give birth, therefore, pro-life is slavery. Now, you could argue against this by pointing out that pro-life doesn't declare ownership of a female person as property, especially in regards to her labor. But you would be wrong because you quite literally are, since you've removed her autonomy by the power of the state to force her into the physical and mental effort, especially when difficult or compulsory, to give birth and with no pay. Conservative male talk show hosts jealous of Chelsea Handler. Good evening. This is Anchorman Newsmere bringing to you the latest news. And now to reporter Fakesmere, who is interviewing an expert. Thank you. I am here with an expert and he is an expert on the issue. So, could you tell us what is going on here? Well, yes, I can. Conservative men are hating on Chelsea Handler right now on white trash media because of their envy, so they're dealing with it by whining about how she's doing better without children than they are with children. Thank you, expert. Now this is reporter Fakesmere, and that is the news. Wokesmere's mic drop moment. Trans skeptical parents. Allow me to present parents who think kids can't choose their gender. This is important because kids aren't choosing their gender. The origin of this issue is parents who think gender involves consciousness while it actually involves hormonal activity prenatally or during puberty. The argument I'm proposing is since transgender children are authentic, gender-affirming care is beneficial to them. The proof for this is in the innocence of children being maintained by lower rates of mental health issues, building self-esteem, and improving their general quality of life. The response could be accusations of mutilation and sterilization, but that would be wrong because those are speculative, not substantial. So, in conclusion, if children are important to you, then you would have to agree that gender-affirming care is good for transgender children. Fakesmere responds to the claim that if Christianity dies, then so does the West. A believer argues that if Christianity dies, then so does the West. They believe this because they believe Christianity is the foundation for Western civilization. Belief in Jesus Christ and the Bible are responsible for cultural and technological development. A Jewish teacher whose life, death, and resurrection is the basis for salvation and the sacred scriptures of the Old and New Testament form the beliefs, social forms, and material traits of all racial, religious, and social groups as well as the practical application of knowledge in all areas. Compare this to civilizations built on the view that any ultimate reality, including God, is unknown and probably unknowable. I hold the view that Christianity has led to barbarous social and intellectual conditions. I would advise that if Christians care about the survival of the West, they need to stop trying to establish civilization there. Roastsmere roasts Andrew Tate and his stands. Until I saw Andrew Tate, I had never known a guy would be more attractive to male virgins than girls he actually had sex with. Andrew Tate must be the most innocent rapist, human trafficker, and organized criminal ever investigated. I did research on Andrew Tate, and what I found out was he denies depression exists. He says it's just weak men. I guess that's true. Who else would spend money on his web scam service? The only thing worse than Andrew Tate is all the incels who thought that to escape the matrix and avoid being a loser, peon, or wage slave brokey, was to spend $49.99 to be told that water bottles are gay. Tate stans love Andrew Tate so much they got off more from watching him get busted during a Twitter feud with Greta Thunberg than the snuff porn he actually produced. Another thing I learned is with how Romanian prisons are described, Andrew Tate is going to be doing more than what 99.9% of men's wives would do for them. I met some people who knew Andrew Tate. Not really. It was way past their bedtimes on Sesame Street. Some things about Andrew Tate I didn't even have to research because it's already so obvious is that he'd serve a better purpose as Bob, the body opponent bag. I mean, look at him. All that kickboxing, but his greatest loss was to pizza boxes. Wokesmear goes next level genius on exercise. I'm making the claim that exercise is fatphobic. My claim is grounded in the fact that according to the Global Health and Fitness Association, exercise has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. The reason it supports my claim is there is no global multi-billion-dollar fatness industry. If you look at it logically, eliminating fatness is fatphobic. Exercise eliminates fatness. Therefore, exercise is fatphobic. Now, you could argue against all this by pointing out that the fast food industry, which makes people fat, is also a multi-billion-dollar industry. You would be wrong for that because the fast food industry doesn't advocate eliminating fitness. Roastsmear roasts Mark Twain. Until I saw Mark Twain, I had never known a Twain Weck. Mark Twain is the best entrepreneur, lecturer, and humorist I have ever seen. I did research on Mark Twain, and what I found out was Halley's Comet came 2 times in his lifetime, but he came too many times in his lifetime. The only thing better than Mark Twain is that a place called Hannibal is known for him, is a place where people get lost, and has the same name as a forensic scientist who became a serial killer, / cannibal. Mark Twain hated Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen every time he read it. Well, stop reading it. That has the same energy as a Karen complaining about how every time she goes to a store, they don't have what she wants. Another thing I learned is that he used Socratic irony in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which basically means the pro-slavery characters in the novel weren't really too ignorant to know slavery was wrong, they only pretended to be to send a message to the reader that it's wrong. I met some people who knew Mark Twain, and they said nothing. They were all dead. Some things about Mark Twain I didn't even have to research because it's already obvious that he's got a face like a push broom. I mean, look at him. He looks like he was raised in Home Depot and his foster parents gave him hand-me-downs from a scarecrow. Wokesmear triggers the right on student debt forgiveness. Allow me to present student loan debt forgiveness. This is important because according to the Federal Reserve, borrowers owe around $1.71 trillion in student loan debt. This issue begins with federal student loans first being offered under the National Defense Education Act to compete with the Soviet Union. The argument I'm proposing is student loan debt is anti-family, getting married, buying a house, or saving for retirement is pro-family, which you can't afford with student loan debt, therefore, student loan debt is anti-family. My proof for this is that the Roosevelt Institute has demonstrated this. You could argue against me by saying it incentivizes people to abuse the system, but you'd be wrong because that's the moral equivalent to saying we shouldn't have the Department of Defense because it incentivizes people to become political spies. So, in conclusion, if student loan debt is important to you, then you would have to agree that student loan debt should be forgiven.